Hello and welcome to Mechwarrior 5 Clans. I'm Shadow Coast, and in this video we're going to outline a detailed 101 to mech customizations. That's right, we're going to go through as many details as possible to help you create monstrous mechs that destroy everything in their path. Now, to begin, as you level up, you're going to unlock additional mechs. Now, a lot of times you'll have unread notifications here between missions that'll tell you on things that are happening, and it'll also give you the option or tell you about mechs that you've unlocked. So let's head over to facilities. This is where we're going to customize mechs. Before we get into mech customization, it is important to go to Marketplace. One thing that might not be entirely intuitive is that when you click on Battle Mechs, you actually have to unlock the mech before you can purchase it and adjust it or customize it. So if you are, let's say, level 6, I'm not, I'm only level 5, and you're like, I really like the Stormcrow, I want a Stormcrow, you actually have to come over after you hit level 6, click on Stormcrow, and unlock it. Now, we're going to do this for example here. For the adder, when you unlock it, you should acquire automatically one of the mechs that you've unlocked, and then you can go over to purchase and purchase additional of those mechs. So we're going to go back and go to the mech bay here, and you're going to see down here that when I unlocked it, that first unlock actually gives me one of those mechs. So when you unlock, make sure to note that you actually get one of those mechs. So if you only want one of them, don't go purchase a second one and waste your Kerenskis because those are hard to come by. Now for mech customization, you're going to want to select your mech either in stored mech or in your active lineup and click E or whatever button this is on mouse and controller to edit loadout. When you edit loadout, you're going to come to this screen, and there are a few things to note. First, you're going to have at the top here all of your different call it structural components. So right leg, right arm, etc. that you can customize. One thing that I will note for those who are battle tech experts, the customization here is what I would call quote unquote basic, but given the Omnipod option, which we're going to get into in a minute, it actually provides a decent level of customization. So while this is basic compared to other games, like if you play Battletech or even Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, I felt like they have a little more extensive customization. They've simplified this in many ways, but you can still do meaningful changes to make your mech better and ensure that you are creating mechs that fit your playstyle. So if you like range, you can prioritize range. If you like really brawly mechs, you're getting in there with heavy armor, you can do that too. All right, now the first thing that I want to talk about here is Omnipods. When you select one of the, I guess, regional areas up here, if that's what we're calling these, or core components, you have the option to select Omnipods. Now this is really, really critical because Omnipods allow you to change your hardpoints. So we're actually going to go over to the right arm. Right now, if I look at this right arm, I'm going to actually come out here. Where's my right arm? Right here. You're going to see that I have one Gauss and two open slots. So if I were to left click on this, I have general ballistic slots here that I can use to create or add ballistic components. Now, one of the key things about clan mechs that are different from at least the older or more original Inner Sphere mechs is this concept of omnipods. And the omnipod is effectively you can swap out what this arm looks like or what one of these core components or structures look like to change your hardpoints. Hardpoints basically determine what you can apply and put into that area. So a hardpoint, for example, you could have a hardpoint that has one laser hardpoint. So you can put one laser of any type if it fits in the size of the mech and the arm, for example, in there. So when I say hard points are important to understand because you can have ballistic hard points, energy hard points for lasers, missile hard points for missiles, etc. And Omnipods lets you swap out those components to get different hard points to further customize your mech. So here, when you look at Omnipods, this is something you want to keep in mind because depending on the mechs you like, you're going to want to make sure you're spending your hard-earned XP for that mech, which you earn by deploying with that mech and using that mech, getting kills with that mech, hitting milestones with that mech, and getting that bonus XP to unlock. And as you can see here, right now I have my Gauss rifle, right arm Omnipod. But let's say I don't want to have ballistics, right? The Gauss rifle, phenomenal weapon, but it is dependent on a set number of ammo, right? And if I'm looking at a long engagement, I might say I prefer going energy weapons. So I'm going to swap this out for energy weapons. Or I might say that I want some long range missiles, right? And a medium laser because I want to create a missile boat. So I'm going to select this one. We're going to go ahead and select this right arm and swap it out. And when I confirm this and close, it's important to note that just because I purchased the Omnipod, it's not going to automatically apply it. I have to go back to Omnipods, click on this, right? I'm going to confirm it, and then I'm going to get it. Now, in customizations, you're going to see these general slots. So just because it has an ER large laser double heat sink, it doesn't take up all the slots. When we're looking at a core structural component, for lack of a better term here, so that's these up here, you're going to have a set number of slots, and then you can fill those slots. One of the things that you have to keep in mind is your overall weight. This is a 45-ton mech. I cannot add things outside of 45 tons. But because the Gauss Omnipod weighed more, I now have 7 extra tons I can apply. So I should probably update and add to these slots. So I'm going to click on this slot and you're going to see what you can add. Now, for this particular Omnipod, I have what I call one energy hardpoint. So as soon as I add that ER large laser, I can add no more energy weapons or any other type of weapons to this because I've hit my one hardpoint that I have for energy weapons here. So that's why when I click on general slots down here, you're not seeing weapons, you're seeing other components I can add in that are different, that allow me to be added to this mech. So in this case, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I want to make sure I'm beefing up my tankiness. So I'm going to add ferro armor pods here, right? And I'm going to keep adding a few to increase it. And then I'm going to add maybe a targeting computer to help increase my base sensor range because why not, right? And you can see here I have to manage to the 45. And as I keep adding here, you're going to see that I run out of slots, but I still have extra areas. So you know what? I'm going to go over to my left arm and take a look. I have one ER medium laser. In this, it has, let's see, I have an extra energy slot. So you can see here, I actually have two hard points. So I'm going to click here, and you're going to see that I can add extra energy weapons. Now, unfortunately, it looks like I have reached the maximum for this hard point. And so I'm not sure. I think I made a mistake here. We only have one energy hard point. I got confused here because it said energy general slot. And that's because what I could do is if I right click on this and remove it, I could add something that takes up two of the hard points. So this gets a little confusing here, but on this arm, right, I can only add one energy hard point. That's the one here, right? And then you can do different sizes. But you're going to see here I've added an ERPPC because I like ERPPCs. I want some range with my ER medium laser, and that's what I did. Alternatively, I can go to my Omnipod down here that I clicked on and look at some different options. And as I'm thinking about this, you know what? Actually, I want to do two ER large lasers with the double heat sink because I'm going to have better heat management for heat sinks. So there we go. And right now I have 1 extra pound or 1 extra ton I can apply. Why not make myself a little more tanky? So I'm going to add these ferro armor pods to increase my armor so I can take a beefy hit to each of my arms. Now I'm going to go back to my overview. Now, if you look at this for total weapons, there are a few things you want to keep in mind. Let's take a look at our stats. Compared to my previous configuration with the Gauss rifle, my firepower has decreased. However, when we look at my armor has increased by, call it maybe a fourth or a third in between that. My heat capacity has actually increased. I haven't impacted my speed, and my max range for dealing damage has significantly increased. Because while the Gauss rifle has good range, my medium lasers or excuse me, my ER large lasers have significantly better range. I've also added some double heat sinks that increase my cooling capacity, and removing that firepower for the cannon has reduced my DPS. But there is an advantage to this mech now because I've gone completely energy based. I am not dependent on any ammo. So that means that I'm good for longer range and longer engagements. And that is how you can customize your mech. Now, there are a few things I want to call out here. You can see here my speed hasn't changed. If I'm going to click on my torso here, I can look at my engine size. Now, unfortunately, if I select my Omnipod here, if you look here, most of the Omnipods are, I believe, equivalent, at least for this particular example. You're not going to see a lot of differences. However, it is important to note that when you're looking at this, some of these can change for the center torso, which will have different implications. So, for example, you might be able to get a larger engine that's going to increase your speed. One of the things I will say is that if you are looking to increase your speed, upgrading to, actually, let me take that back. We're going to strip this location, and we're going to, oh, it doesn't let me do that for the middle one. Well, in theory, we should be able to change our engine that impacts our speed. I haven't experimented with that yet, but keep that in mind. That the center torso here, if you look at Omnipods, there are some subtle differences where you might add in an ECM or other capabilities, have better gyros, etc. for different mechs. So make sure you're still looking at that. This is probably a bad example. There are a few other things that I want to call out here. So if we look over here in my left torso, select Omnipod, right now I have an AMS slot. AMS stands for Anti-Missile System, which is really important to take out enemy missiles coming to you. That being said, there are also options for EMC suites. Now, one of the challenges here is that if I click on this one and confirm it, I'm going to be overweight because that EMC suite is going to add extra weight. So now I have to make different changes. So if I go back to my right arm, I could say, you know what? I'm going to right click, at least on mouse and keyboard, to get rid of some of this armor. And now, while I lost my armor, I have an EMC suite. So EMC stands for is it, hold on, where are we at here? What did I just change? This is enhanced electronic countermeasures, which will allow us to disrupt the range of hostile sensors as well as impact their ability to hit us with missiles. So you can see down here we have additional I guess I can't scroll down here, but if you read the body down here, we are modifying their ability to hit us due to ECM disruption within a range. So here we have 222. One of the things I just want to call out about ECM is that as we look at our Mechwarriors, I believe Liam in particular, he can enhance your ECM capability, increasing its range and other aspects. So we're actually going to save changes here. One thing to note is it does cost Kerenskys to make changes, so keep that in mind. And we're going to head over to the barracks here. We're going to click on, is that Liam? That's Ezra. Liam here, electronic warfare, increase active, probe, and ECM range and effects, right? So if we're going to go for ECM play to disrupt it, let's make sure we're putting Liam in there to help make sure we disrupt it. So let's go ahead and edit loadout again from that perspective. There are a few other things that I would really want to call out here. You can decide to um, change Omnipods for these five structural components. One of the things that I have noticed is that when it comes to call it the legs, in general, there are not a lot of changes. I think I've seen in one, and don't quote me, I have to go back and check, where you can go from jump jet to no jump jets. And so as you think about kind of your engagement and play style, you can think about, do I really need jump jets or not? And in theory, if they're not locked, you can select an Omnipod that allows you to not have jump jets that's going to weigh a little less. So let's quickly recap here. When you're playing clans, there are a few things you want to do. First, you're going to want to look at the omnipods for any given core structural component. So right leg, right arm, right torso, etc. In general, you're going to focus on the right arm, right torso, and left arm because that is where your weapons are. And when you look at your omnipods, you can select different weapon types that'll have different hard points. When we think about hard points, we tend to have three core hard points. We have energy hard points, we have missile hard points, and we have ballistic hard points. Let me know if I'm missing something obvious, but those are the core hard points where you're applying weapons of those three types, which in general you're going to have. So make sure you're looking at your omnipods. All right. The second thing I'm going to call out here is after you've selected your appropriate omnipods, you're going to want to make sure you're managing your tons or your tonnage. Each mech has a maximum tonnage. You will always want to maximize it. If I were to deploy with 40 out of 45, that is not efficient. You want to add armor, and you can do that by selecting general slots and picking things. And if you have some extra tonnage, because you're like, my mech looks good, I have the weapons I want, but I have a few extra tonnage, make sure you're adding armor pods to yourself. So there are different levels. You have 0.5 tons. I think, is this one a 1 ton armor slot? And I think you have 0.25 tons. So make sure right here you can see, make sure you're adding armor pods. The other thing you're going to want to do when you kind of come to this general look, ensure you're looking at your stats. You want to have a fairly heat efficient mech. If this is down here and it's not a heat efficient, then you're not going to be able to use all your weapons. You should lose weapons and replace them with double heat sinks. Right, and so we're going to head over here to the left torso. Heat sinks are going to allow you to manage your heat efficiency by reducing it. So make sure you're balancing the number of weapons you have with armor with heat sinks. That is very important. The last thing I will mention is don't lose sight of key components such as ECMs, electronic countermeasure suites, as well as targeting computers. These will help you identify enemies and give bonuses to key weapon groups. So for example here you can see targeting computer MK1 is going to not only increase my sensor range bonus, so you're going to see enemies further out. It's going to increase your projectile speed, which is very critical. So every time you click, the projectile has to travel a certain distance. So it makes it easier to just click and then hit because the projectile is moving quicker. And very critical energy range. Clans have much better weaponry, and one of the differentiations between clan and inner sphere is their range of or their weapons range, particularly their energy weapons. So maximizing this allows you to sit back, pound the enemy before they can get close enough to even take a shot at you. So keep that in mind when you're upgrading your mechs. So that is how you upgrade mechs. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If I missed anything obvious, please comment in the comments. I will say in other Battletech games, so like Battletech or Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, I do feel like there's probably more nuanced differentiation on your mechs, just being from Inner Sphere and then getting Clan Tech and having to apply that. So I do like how they have simplified this I personally wish I had a little more customization, to be honest, but it still allows you to make meaningful changes to mechs you unlock based off your playstyle. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching and hope to see you in future videos. Shadow Coast out.